Walter Carter here at Carter Vintage Guitars with a mandolin made by Orville Gibson, the founder of the Gibson Company. This was made right around the turn of the century, around 1900, one of maybe 25 or so surviving instruments that Orville made. It's a radical departure from the mandolins that people were used to seeing at that time. Here's what America thought a mandolin was, called a bowlback or a tater bug, and not out of respect. But this is a classical Italian style mandolin. You can see, especially on the more expensive models, there are a number of pieces of wood that are bent into shape and then glued together to form the body. That proved to be a not so durable design. The instrument's vibrating all the time, and eventually, especially with the glues of the late 1800s, tended to come apart. Orville Gibson came along in the 1890s and had a better idea. As he explained very directly in his patent, the typical mandolin has too many parts. He proposed that the rim and the whole neck be carved out of a single piece of wood. That kept the grain lines straight, which he felt made for a better tone, and obviously fewer parts, fewer things to become unglued. Orville's mandolin basically is three pieces. Rim and neck is one piece, top is one piece, back is one piece. So three pieces instead of maybe 50, and no stress on any piece, nothing bent. All the curved surfaces are carved so that it didn't need bracing. Now, that's not quite practical to do it that way. And even this early mandolin, we can see a splice right here. So the neck and the rims are actually two different pieces. But the idea is for a mandolin that doesn't impede the sound, or as Orville called it, the tone and the peculiar excellency thereof in his patent. This looks like a mandolin with a deep body, and it's also hollowed out more. The construction allows for hollowing out of the neck up into here. It would seem to have a very deep tone, but remember, bluegrass music wasn't around then. There was no demand for a loud chop. It was still Italian based. So, these guys were still playing Santa Lucia. So it has a very delicate sound comparable to the bowlback, partly because the bridge is so low and there's not a lot of string break angle over the bridge. That was something that the Gibson Company set out to correct right away. Gibson started changing mandolins pretty quickly and also dominated the mandolin market, which was all the rage in the early 1900s. But this mandolin stands out because there are so few times in our cultural history when things change that they can be pinpointed to a certain time or a certain person. We can pinpoint the dawn of the beginning of the mandolin craze in America to New Year's Day, 1880, when a group of performers called the Spanish Students got off the boat, gave their first performance, and they were actually playing bandurrias rather than mandolins, but to all the Italians in New York City, their mandolin was close enough. So the groups that sprung up were Italians playing Italian mandolins. And then with these handful of mandolins made by Orville Gibson, that marks the beginning of the modern mandolin in America, because as soon as Orville started making these mandolins, the tater bugs, the Italian style mandolins started fading away. And the modern era of mandolins in America starts with this instrument.